Many of you will know that the Aimis Academy was due to be launched on the 21st of April. Unfortunately, due to this outbreak, we've had to postpone that until the social distancing measures have been lifted, although there's no way of knowing when that will actually be. So we really need to start getting ourselves into a position where we are comfortable working digitally and remotely with many people working from home. So as a response, we've been really busy migrating our standard courses to online delivery using this sort of software, video conferencing to maintain a live and interacting experience, and it's working really well. This way participants are able to communicate directly with their trainers. So this is a bit of a practice really for using the buttons that we've got on the bottom left hand corner. So if we just have a practice, if we go around, so I did sort of list names down. So if we start with Jason, if you want to just... Okay, so to kick off the awareness session then, this is one of my favourite slides when we're talking about BIM. So this is a bit of a practice to type something into your message box as well. So if you want to just type in there what year you think the RICS realised that architectural information was not particularly good. I mean, I like to think of it more of construction information really, as opposed to just architectural information. So we've got Ben 1987, Jason 1987. Any takers for anything else? Second hand. If that's not the case, then by all means say no in the chat box. But I'm sure what I'm about to say will still make sense to you as we go through. So as a car, or if we're going out to buy a car, particularly a second-hand car, something that we're very keen on seeing before we commit to buying that car is a service history, any sort of replacements or jobs that have been done on that car, so that we can have a good understanding about what condition it may or may not be in, and whether we think it's going to be worth the money that we're going to pay for it. That was created by the Centre for Digital Built Britain, and they're sort of looking at the future of the country. And what they're trying to get to is to create a thriving economy driven by better assets, because our assets are not currently operating as well as they can. It's a bit of a macroeconomic challenge, particularly as the speed of technology is growing and exceeding at such an unprecedented rate. And what we're looking at is how cities consume data, or certainly how cities will be consuming data in the future, which is our smart cities. And we're going to start off with the project, the information delivery cycle. Now, those of you that were familiar with PAS 1192 Part 2 would have seen a different iteration of this. Essentially, it's the same. There are some terminology changes, but it also accounts for a larger operational phase and also for any relevant existing asset information. What this is trying to depict here, if we have a look at the key first, the green areas there are information production. The blue arrows running around the outside, otherwise known as the race course, is information management process. And that is the BIM process at a very high level according to ISO 19650. It's a good document to use. It's very much a guide. You can use it as a document to BIM authoring overview. So we've gone through a sort of a BIM awareness fundamentals thing over at your campus quite a while ago now, that was. So this is going to be an overview to authoring in BIM and some of the things that we need to do. The agenda looks like this, although we'll see how we get on. So what we mean by object enabled, here's that same window that we saw in the previous slide. This is the family within Revit of that window, the family editor, or how that window became to be a window, how it was actually constructed. Now, I'm just roughly drawing this so I can show you another tool. So at the moment, that's not in the right position, so I can just align that. So there's various modify tools. If I click align and click this outside edge here and then click the wall, that's going to align it to there. and do the same there and there. Okay, that's a party wall, so that's a different wall type, but for this exercise, that will do. I can then fill that up like we did with the foundations. And we now have our 4 walls. So I can now look at that in 3D, and that has now drawn our ground floor walls on top of the foundations.
Specified, so we can actually do it by type. If we'd actually label anything, I'm actually going to do by geometry, so I'm going to add height in there. I'm actually going to also add in the width. Now what I'm going to do is actually just select the one in the 3D model that I want to change and pick up the properties from this, and now actually select all of those windows in the model. So if you can, now we can see here that there's actually 40 windows. So you imagine how many. You can see the Gantt chart moving along with this, so we can see the actual progress and where we are in program. You can see that we're casting our pad foundations and now our strip foundations. You can go to the nth degree. You can put this in the sequence that they will be installed. I've just grouped this together for the demo purposes. You can see our planks now going in the sequence, so that I'm putting this in the sequence. It also gives us more flexibility on program. We can see that, hang on, the north elevation of the building is available before, so we can start installing walls there straight away, saving time on program. Again, we can see the planks going in, and then as soon as this kind of full render, so you can actually see, look round. And I mean, I know not maybe suitable for yourself, but you take purchasing a new house, which is just being built by someone like Barclay Homes, is you can actually go through and you could visualize. You can walk into the kitchen. I think one. You can walk into the kitchen and let's see if we've got a toilet or something in here. And you could say with the different fixtures and fixings, knowing that you've got options on worktops and flooring and things like that.
So Navisworks Freedom as a tool. Navisworks itself comes in 3 different varieties. We have the Freedom, Simulate, and Navisworks Manage. Here we have this view here currently. I'm going to click my arrow. If I click on the top corner of this view cube here, then it's going to zoom out to the extent. So it's showing me everything that is contained within the model that I can see all in one view. And then if I continue to click on the other corners of that view cube, it will rotate the model around for me. If I click on the top, it will zoom out and give me a plan view. Okay, right, down some stairs. So there's the stairs. If I want to walk up them, currently I just walk through them. So if you want to go upstairs, you do need to have gravity on this, and you've got your selection arrow active because you need to, then it allows you to come along, select an object, have a look at its properties. It then becomes a central pivot point. Escape to deselect, zoom out, pan, zoom in, select an object, look around it. It's a really efficient way of navigating around the model and looking at the properties of the elements within the model. Okay, Andrew's there, James is there, Kane, good to go.
Matt, can you just go through the best way to kind of navigate from the air down to floor level?
Yeah. Like so. If you start to sink while you're walking, then that will be because you've got gravity turned on, and you would want to make sure that that's turned off when we're out.
Yeah, I think that's the issue.
Matt, I'm still struggling to get my viewpoint at ground level.
So your viewpoint at the moment,
I'm kind of floating sort of midway in between the floors externally, and when I press the wheel, it almost tilts my view up and down as if I'm looking up and down, but won't move me to a ground level position.
Okay, so if you look at the screen, is it doing this?
Yes.
Yes, so that's where you're scrolling the mouse. So if I scroll, that looks up and down like this.
Right.
If you press it, the same as you would press the left or right button, so just press down on it.
Yeah, that's
and then
it.
move your mouse, yeah? You got
Right,
it?
that's great. Thank you, Matt.
Okay. Classification code there is available. It's at the right hand side, so it's SS 20307580. That's the Uniclass 2015 classification code for steel column systems. So if I go back into your model and take a steel column as an example, so there's a steel column there. Click on my BIM interoperability tools, and over on the left hand side we've only got 2 buttons that we need to use here. So first of all, we're going to set up, and that basically just tells Revit which classification system you want to use on the project. So the databases are all there. So Uniclass 2015 is the one that we're using. Click finish, and it will just download and load that into the project. Now that may already have. If I now click on edit type, that has now applied project parameters to every element in the project within the type properties. So every element has got now type property for classification, Uniclass, SS for system, EF for element or function, and PR for product. So the parameters are there. We just need to now fill them in. But we don't want to have to go around everything and do it all individually. So we then go to this button here, assign. It will just get the tables ready, and it comes up with this box here. And because they're type parameters, you just have to do everything every type once.